I'd like to look at the nexus of knowledge and power, the relationship between knowledge and power, and how that relationship between knowledge and power can be looked at from different angles. And one angle of it is to look at how human beings are controlled and even exploited, rather subjugated for different purposes. One way of looking at how knowledge and power controls human beings is to understand from the perspective of culture studies. Culture studies. And here, by culture studies, contemporary culture studies, I want to include three prominent strands that you must have come across in your studies. That is feminism, in other words, how feminism looks at the relationship of knowledge and power to understand human subjectivity. And second strand of cultural studies or culture studies is postmodernism. That is how postmodernism or postmodern thinkers or postmodern philosophers try to critique the relationship of knowledge and power to understand human subjectivity. The third one we'll be looking at is how post-colonialism looks at the relationship of of knowledge and power in relation to human subjectivity. So by knowledge, we mean any kind of knowledge, any system of knowledge. And when I say any system of knowledge, it involves all the disciplines, the subjects, the chapters, the topics that you study, the ideas and the concepts that you study. And by all forms of knowledge, I also mean not only those written forms of knowledge, but also the oral forms of knowledge. Oral forms of knowledge. There are many, many unwritten forms of knowledge. So what is power? So power is the right to control. Let me put it that way. Power is the right to control, the right to dominate and even exploit, right? And even exploit others, right? That is power. We have an understanding of power in relation to brute force and money. We have understood power in terms of human strength, right? Through which we control others. In Nagaland and the Northeast, we understand power in relation to how the rich people control other human beings through the use of money. Today, we are trying to understand how knowledge is used to control other human beings. How knowledge is produced and how knowledge is used to control others. Okay? The mobile phone, right? This gadget which all of us use is a pack of knowledge. And this knowledge, whether it be the technology, the formula of sending SMS or sending WhatsApp message or Twitter, all this have been created by someone, produced by someone. And in one way or the other, this system of knowledge within information technology is controlling us, without which we think our life as insignificant, as incomplete, without which we think that our life will not go on, will not progress. So let us take at the level of feminism how women, let me come very straight, how females are controlled, how females become subjugated, not because men control them with force, but because of the operation, or rather production and operation of some systems of knowledge. And this is not new, right? We can go to classical philosophy, to the times of the Greeks. I'll just start with Aristotle, right? 5th century BC. What did Aristotle say? Listen very carefully. If you want, you can drive. Females are females by virtue of a certain lack of qualities. By virtue of a certain lack of qualities. This is an idea of Aristotle, right? And this idea gave birth to many other ideas and many systems of knowledge. And what kind of ideas were given birth? What kind of knowledge system came out of it? Right? You have heard of Patriarchy. Right? Patriarchy was not born of this, but Patriarchy, right? Where man is considered as the head of the society. Right? Who gave society this right? Who gave the right to men, that men are the head of the families? This is just one example of how ideas, concepts, and systems of knowledge subjugate other human beings. Now let's come down to post-colonialism. Post-colonialism, another strand of cultural studies that looks critically of how knowledge or some systems of knowledge have been produced. Human beings are not just controlled by brute force. Human beings are not controlled by arms and ammunition. Human beings are not just controlled by nuclear arms. Human beings are also controlled by knowledge. Human beings are also controlled through knowledge. So how the European race, the white race, produced some ideas in order to control the brown and the black race. There are many examples. I'll just give one example. This was said by Lord Thomas Macaulay in his minutes of 1835. Lord Macaulay was sent by the Crown to India to survey, research, and report. To survey, research, and report on the status of knowledge in India. Single shelf of a good European library was worth the whole native literature of India and Arabia. In other words, he is saying that Indians and Africans, Indians and the Middle East don't have any literature. If they have some literature, right, it is worthy as a small bookshelf of European library. Whatever it is, we are not looking at the truth. We are not looking at the truth of this at all. We are looking at how his idea, because this is going to be a report for the Crown. And basing on this report, Crit Gideon is going to introduce knowledge systems in India. So then, this becomes an idea which also later becomes so powerful. Right? It came out of his figment of imagination, it came out of his prejudice, but wherever it came from, it became very powerful. It was accepted all over Europe that Indians and the people of Middle East don't have sufficient adequate literature and knowledge. Because of which, whatever knowledge and knowledge systems the Indians had were dismissed as inadequate Because only and only those forms of knowledge, only and only those ideas and concepts that originate from Europe were considered valid, adequate, and fit to be studied in the colleges, universities and schools in India. And that is how your subjects, all the subjects even I studied, and all the subjects that you are studying today came from this statement. Or else we won't be mucking up all these European concepts today. But the problem is, since we don't study our ideas, our literatures, we end up studying theirs, and this is how we become controlled at different levels. Giving you a very small example. English, right? I feel like talking in Nagamese rather, or Ao. Now, why do we love it Nagamese? Oh, Nagamese proper, I say. And if anyone talks bad English, we start laughing at them in the church, in public forums, in lectures. His pronunciation, his grammar. We are judging. We're judging others' calibers. Rather, we're judging the caliber of Nagas. Indians, Africans also judge the caliber of their fellow Africans by the way they are able to or not able to imitate the Europeans. But then, English has become, European knowledge has become, European ideas have become, right, the parameter of measuring our knowledge. So we look up on someone because they speak good English. We look down on someone because they speak bad English. The idea of superiority and inferiority is built in our society based on how well we can imitate the Europeans. So this is the problem with knowledge, which we have to be very critical. What is this particular form of knowledge doing with me? Is it controlling me? If it is, then how it is controlling me? Let's come to the last strand. Postmodern theory, right? Looks at how, very critically, how different systems and forms of knowledge subjugate human beings. Right? How? Today, knowledge has become so powerful. I'm not talking about knowledge in Nagaland, because we haven't produced any knowledge till now, or rather worldwide knowledge. We have, no doubt, but then we are not able to sell knowledge through which we can really control others. No. So, the status of knowledge, especially in the West, is so high that it gives tremendous power to those who have knowledge. Look at pharmaceutical companies. Pharmaceutical companies, the medicines we eat, the medicines we use, the machinery we use to diagnose different kind of ailments and diseases. The pharmaceutical companies are so powerful. How are they powerful? They spend a lot of resources, money, time and energy on producing ideas. How can cancer be cured? There has to be a cure to cancer. How can AIDS be cured? There has to be a cure for AIDS. How can TB, tuberculosis be cured? There has to be a cure. And they are producing cures of the cures. And the third world is buying those cures, ideas. Right? And so they not only produce the ideas, they patent the ideas so that no one can use those ideas freely. They patent those ideas so that only they and they can use and sell those ideas. Others cannot use those ideas freely. Right? A pharmaceutical company even sued a government, a national government. A national government was tracked to the court by a company for misusing the idea of a pharmaceutical company. They are so powerful as that. Right? So this is how knowledge has become so powerful, not only in controlling human beings, individuals, but also in controlling even governments. So the focus, there are many focus, but the main focus of contemporary cultural studies, that is post-colonialism, postmodernism, feminism, is to look critically at how knowledge, different forms of knowledge, controls human beings, right? So I'll conclude with this. It's very important for individuals. It's very important for institutions like this. It's very important for society. It's very important for scholars. It's very important for academicians to understand why knowledge. Why knowledge?